I know this video is technically super late. What you gonna do about it? I've been releasing short-form videos covering my top 20 albums of 2025 over the past 2 months on the other websites more suited for that type of thing. But a New Year's resolution I had was to come back to the YouTube game where I started. And I plan on doing new content that's still music-related, but more in the realm of video essays talking about music culture besides just straight-up music reviews. Hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for that. I worked too hard on all of this album of the year stuff to not use it everywhere I can, so I compiled it all into one video for your viewing pleasure here. But before getting to my actual top 20 albums, I wanted to start with Best Metal and Hard Rock Albums of 2025, Honorable Mentions. This is basically records I wanted to shout out that fell outside of my top 20 of the year, so I'll be quick with each of these. Spirit Box with Tsunami Sea. Not as strong as Eternal Blue or their EPs, but still keeping them deserving of being on top of the popular metalcore hierarchy. Sanguisugabog proved they could expand on their caveman riff death metal with Hideous Aftermath. 9 Inch Nails with the Tron Ares soundtrack likely being the only good thing about that movie. Despise Icon with Shadowwork showing OG deathcore is still best deathcore. Speaking of OGs, Killswitch Engage with This Consequence, best album since Jesse returned to the band and one of their heaviest that they've ever done. Dying Wish being a bright spot for newer metalcore, adding gothic and doom sounds on Flesh Stays Together. Deftones taking advantage of Gen Z and Gen Alpha, embracing them with their best record since Koi no Yokon. Dead Guy coming back after 20 years and dropping metallic hardcore heat with near-death travel services like they've never taken a break. King 810 still getting slept on in the new metal revival scene with 2 records this year, and Rust Belt New Metal 1 and 2. Agriculture barely missing my top 20 with avant-garde black metal on the Spiritual Sound. AFI dropping a goth record and making me a late-to-the-party fan with Silver Bleeds the Black Sun. Circuit Preacher with Gothic Industrial and Heaven Can't Heal. Bands I personally know and have played shows with, including Howling Giant with proggy psych rock, Friendship Commanders for 90s grunge vibes, Crop with the Kentucky Sludge, Pond Digger with spacey stoner doom, Necrowinter for groovy death metal, Flock of Moons for stoner rock, and finally a little band called Stormtoker with a record called These Edibles Ain't Shit. Their drummer is kinda crap, but the record's pretty good, I'd say. Number 20 album of the year, Disharmonia Mundi, The Dormant Stranger. I haven't heard a soul ever mention this band, even though it often features notable musicians like Bjorn, Speed, Straight of Soilwork, and Nightflight Orchestra fame. They're an Italian melodic death metal band with an emphasis on the melodic. Soaring guitar riffs with vocal hooks to match. And this is their first album in a decade, but quality-wise, it sounds like they haven't missed a beat. The Dormant Stranger is filled with banger after banger like the epic opener Adrift Among Insignificant Strangers, the earworm vocal hooks of Illusion of Control, or the aggression and groovy riffs of the title track. It's an album of all anthems that could easily have felt one-note and repetitive if the band didn't execute so well. So give this record a try if you're ready to get hyped. Number 19 album of the year, Creeper, Sangavore 2, Mistress of Death. The metalheads are gonna have to keep an open mind for this one. Creeper is a British rock band that writes theatrical concept records. The 2 recent Sangavore records are about vampires and mixed Sisters of Mercy and Danzig-esque gothic rock with 70s glam rock the likes of David Bowie and Meatloaf. Strong theater kid energy with this group with an earnest love of campy style, arena-level sing-along choruses, and some old-school sweet guitar licks to match that kind of energy. The vampires aren't the only thing thirsty about this record either, with lyrics like, "Give us head, stones," and "Be my parasite, suck, suck, suck." I usually hate this type of stuff, so if they were able to win me over, they should be able to win you, especially if you're down with stuff like Ghost, My Chemical Romance, or Rocky Horror Picture Show. Number 18 album of the year, Coheed and Cambria, The Father of Make-Believe. For a band that seems easily accessible on the surface, I kind of have to be in a mood to listen to Coheed most of the time. While the band has clear pop sensibilities and sonic aesthetics with their melodic guitar work and Claudio Sanchez's bright vocals, their songwriting is eclectic, taking influences from prog, post-hardcore, heavy metal, and punk, as well as a penchant for long-winded epic songs and albums with multi-track suites matching the concept record nature of most of their work. But on this new record, Father of Make-Believe, Coheed and Cambria have a big collection of songs that are tight and to the point, leaning on the pop rock side of their sound with energetic bangers like Blindside Sunny, Play the Poet, and Goodbye Sunshine. But they also get their multi-track suites across well with 4 tracks of the Continuum, and on the extended edition of the record, the Key Entity Extraction Suite that continues from previous records by the band.
Long story short, this is one of the band's best records ever, potentially top 3 of theirs for me. Number 17 album of the year, Scars on Broadway, Addicted to Violence. System of a Down ain't dropping a new record anytime soon. A literal war had to start to get them to drop those 2 charity singles back in 2020. And outside of Surge's debut album, none of the post-sowed material has come close to the quality the band had as a united force. But Darren's new Scars on Broadway record, Addicted to Violence, comes pretty darn close. It has all the trademarks of Darren Malakian's style with his distinctive guitar work, quirky energy, politically charged lyricism, and penchant for big choruses. It's not different from what he's been doing with Scars on Broadway previously, it's just more polished, and shows why he became a big rock star in the first place. Number 16 album of the year, Imperial Triumphant, Gold Star. New York's Imperial Triumphant has made their version of the Black Album, if the Black Album was avant-garde black and technical death metal. Despite the band having earned a dedicated following, their dissonant, dizzying, nightmare-fueled compositions have been a hurdle for even many die-hard extreme metal fans. Enter Gold Star, where the band extends an olive branch to listeners with relatively more accessible riffs and grooves that you can latch onto, like the violent, imposing chugs of Opener Eye of Mars, the proggy bass grooves of Gomorrah Nouveau, or the 50-second grindcore cut of New York City, in all caps. They manage this while not sacrificing the style and sound that makes them unique, and the record acts as a gateway to enjoying their earlier, more challenging material. Number 15 album of the year, Avatar, Don't Go in the Forest. This is what should be getting the push into mainstream metal. Not blue-eyed soul with guitars, not copy-paste octane core, but a band that has their own original identity, sound, and style. Big choruses and imagery as a good gateway band should, while still having enough musical depth and creativity to entice longtime metalheads. Avatar has been the picture of consistency ever since their breakthrough 2012 Black Waltz album, and now on album 10 with Don't Go in the Forest, they keep that consistency alive, taking their theatrical blend of alternative metal, groove metal, melodeath, and other various influences into a tight 10-song record of no skippable tracks and a wealth of variety. The sea shanty-esque Captain Goat, the dancey funk grooves of Death and Blitz, the aggressive ripper of the Abduction song, and a host of other anthems. Avatar stays one of a kind, and definitely a band to listen to if you aren't already on board. Number 14 album of the year, Behemoth, the poo-poo of God. Let's get the obvious out of the way. That title is stupid. But if anyone can get away with stupid, it's Adam Nergal-Darsky. This album takes the best parts of modern Behemoth and trims any chance of fat. Known for their big, sweeping, orchestral black and death metal songs, the band focuses that sound into rousing metal anthems, empowering, life-affirming songs that finds power in joining a collective cause lyrically. We are the Shadow Elite. We are the shit of God. It's that old-school sense of metal unity the band is tapping into. And at only 8 songs of around 38 minutes, the record doesn't overstay its welcome. The only bad thing about this record is convincing people it's worth listening to with its asinine title. Number 13 album of the year, Hate, Bellum Regis. Okay, so if you feel too dumb listening to Behemoth's record Shit of God because of the title, you can listen to this other Polish black and death metal band. On Bellum Regis, Hate does bear a lot of similarities to Behemoth's sound, but compared to Nergal & Company's latest, this record is a lot bigger and expansive musically. The title is Latin for War of Kings, and deals with themes of humanity's thirst for power, wealth, and glory. And the music is fittingly epic and cinematic to match these themes. Glossy production, big riffs arranged with room to breathe, with a lot of contemplative atmosphere. Makes the music feel like the soundtrack to a dark fantasy film epic. With how musically dense the record is, you'll find new elements to enjoy on repeat spins, well worth checking out for any extreme music fan. Number 12 album of the year, Whitechapel, Hymns and Dissonance. After 2 critically acclaimed albums of exploring progressive metal and more melodic and groove-orientated musical elements, Whitechapel opted to return to straight-up deathcore filth with this record. No clean vocals, no radio-ready choruses or simple groove riffs, just blast beat, D-beat, chug-chug, guttural breakdown smacking you over the cranium for 43 minutes. With how hard this album is trying to sledgehammer you with its sound, it's surprising it doesn't get repetitive or overwhelming. Now that's testament to the veteran experience and skill Whitechapel has. Bill Bozeman is thrice the vocalist he was in the band's early days. He was always considered one of the best, balancing his trademark growls with his more newly polished high fry screams, and delivering his lyrics with power and clarity, letting you latch on to specific lines that get across the emotion of the songs. And the instrumentation provides just enough space and atmosphere in between the brutality to keep things interesting throughout. Best deathcore album of 2025. Yes, better than those records too. Number 11 album of the year, Allegiant, The Ossuary Lens. You know how classic 80s metal was all about writing guitar riffs to make you go, dude, that was freaking sick, bruh. Well, this new Allegiant record is a whole album of songs doing a modernized version of that. Technical melodic death metal with some progressive elements is the summarized description of their sound. But these boys are from America. So rather than the Scandinavian melodeath sound like In Flames or At the Gates, Allegiant pulls from the grit and punch of thrash metal, bouncing shreddy riffs with spacey melodic guitars to match their sciencey lyrical content. They've always been good, but this is definitely the most polished collection of songs they've had since their much-lauded 2016 Proponent for Sentience album, and a buffet for the guitar nerds in the audience. All fast tracks with a wealth of creative guitar work, including a standout usage of Spanish flamenco guitar on the track Dark Matter Dynamics, a feast for the ears indeed. Number 10 album of the year, Abigail Williams, A Void Within Existence. There's a lot of good black metal this year, and Abigail Williams makes her mark on the year with a quality offering of atmospheric-leaning black metal that has a lot of doom metal elements in the mix. For every frostbitten tremolo guitar passage, there's some slower, plodding doom guitar sections that add some cinematic scale to the songs. Each track is long and dense and feels like it's taking you on a journey. And definitely the type of record that rewards repeat listens for you to better appreciate all the elements of each track more. Opener Life Disconnected and Talk to Your Sleep showcase the doomy end of their black metal sound, while there's also songs like Still Nights that are blazing rippers that rip into you at a blazing speed. The two closing tracks, Embrace the Chasm and No Less Than Death, lean into atmospheric black metal, mixing melody and multiple dynamic sections into their sound for a sense of scale to close the record. One of the best black metal records of the year that's getting overlooked far too much. Number 9 album of the year, 16, Guides for the Misguided. This was an early release in the year that I knew was going to be on my best albums list from the get-go. 16 is an OG sludge metal band from Southern California that carries the raw aggression and bite 90s metal bands are known for, with the creative use of melody that also harks back to that same era. They've been on a stellar run of albums the past few years, and with this record, they continued that with a clean coat of polish. They bring mosh-worthy bangers with tracks like The Opener, After All, and Proudly Damned with thick bluesy sludge guitars, and frontman and also guitarist Bobby Ferry sounding like he's shredding his vocal cords. But there's also darkly melodic songs like Blood Atonement Blues and Desperation Angel that add variety. In a period of time where sludge is making a comeback with Acid Bath and Crowbar having popularity resurgences, 16 should be added to that group as well when you're wanting that same musical vibe. Number 8 album of the year, Cradle of Filth, Screaming of the Valkyries. It's a shame Cradle of Filth has been in the news more for band drama more than their music this past year, because Screaming of the Valkyries is a quality addition to their catalog. I've always respected the band's music, but long have had trouble latching on to the compositions and how dense they can be. With this record, however, the band has no shortage of vocal hooks and catchy riffs to endear you to their theatrical, gothic, extreme metal sound. With standout favorites in the tracks To Live Deliciously, Malignant Perfection, and White Hellbore. If you're already a fan, you're already on board with this album, and if you've yet to get into Cradle of Filth, this is a strong place to start. Number 7 album of the year, Employed to Serve, Fallen Star. While a well-recognized name in their native United Kingdom, Employed to Serve has been slept on hard here in America. Coming from mathcore beginnings, the band came on my radar with the previous album Conquering in 2021, and it was my number 2 album of that year. Blending metallic hardcore with thrash metal and groove metal to make a modern melodic metalcore album that wasn't just another Architects Jitcore clone. With new record Fallen Star, they continue that style, but with a stronger dose of vocal and guitar melody that they've been getting more confident at wielding with every record. Songs like the title track and Breaks Me Down flex that ability well, on top of the Will Ramos feature and Atonement. That's easily one of my favorite songs of the year, with its death metal-leaning guitar crunch balanced with a radio-worthy chorus hook that blends in seamlessly. Other notable features come from Jesse Leach at Killswitch Engage on Whose Side Are You On, and Serena Cherry of Svalbard on Last Laugh. This year has been a down one for metalcore overall, but Employed to Serve show their bright light risers in the genre still. Number 6 album of the year, Lamp of Murmur, The Dreaming Prince in Ecstasy. Black metal gets a lot of hate here in America. It's gotten success as the sugar in your death metal or deathcore tea, but largely gets looked over. There's been a few bands that get great renown from here like Wolves in the Throne Room, Black Braid, Panopticon, and a few others, and one that definitely needs to be added is California one-man project Lamp of Murmur. This album stays well within the definition of true black metal while not being restrained by it, and shows what the genre can truly do. These songs are epics with brilliant arrangements. Force of Hallucinations, with its gothic piano touches interspersed with triumphant black metal guitar riffs. Hategate seamlessly transitions between tremolo guitar blasts to riffs and beats so tribal and primal that a hardcore kid could actually two-step to it. The 23-minute, 3-part suite blending traditional metal riffs with gothic melodies, danceable sections, melodic baritone vocals, and more. And a beautifully dark acoustic track to close the record on. There's no dull moments, weak spots, or fat, despite the long song lengths. This record is a straight-up masterpiece of a journey, and my traditional black metal record of the year. Number 5 album of the year, Spirit World, Hell Dorado. Slayer-worshipping crossover thrash mixed with honky-tonk country western shouldn't work on paper, but Las Vegas' Spirit World finds a way. Performing in rhinestone cowboy fits, the band came on my radar with their 2022 record Death Western. As much as I liked their horror-themed Wild West imagery and shreddy thrasher hardcore riffs, my only complaint with that record was that they didn't lean into the uniqueness of the cowboy stuff enough. Well, they more than make up for it on Hell Dorado. While the dark metallic hardcore thrash makes the meat of this album still on songs like Stigmata Stars, Oblivion, and Waiting on the Reaper, they make the mission statement clear on opener Abilene Grime, starting with a cowpunk country western style before descending into hell with the transition into their metal stomp. Birdsong of Death is another upbeat country punk number with punk gang shouts that leans into fully acoustic ballad Prayer Lips. Closer, Annihilism, also fits this acoustic country western punk style and plays it all with a unique adeptness that makes the band stand out, and I'm excited to see what more they can do with this sound on future releases. Number 4 album of the year, Bleeding Through, 9. Metalcore OGs Bleeding Through may be a part-time band now, but when they show up with something to say. They were already pioneers when coming up, being one of the first bands to blend symphonic elements and black metal into hardcore, and that sound is polished to a mirror shine here. You could pick a song at random from this record for a single, and it could work as a hit. None of the overproduced nonsense other modern metalcore acts are on can be found here. 9 is raw, aggressive, and gritty, with a chaotic energy that feels like it can all fall off the rails at any time. Punchy bangers like Gallows and Dead But So Alive have memorable hardcore guitar riffs balanced out with gothic-tinged melodic choruses, showing the vocal talents of frontman Brendan Chapati and keyboardist Marta Dimmel. They're able to get away with straight-up ignorant lines like "fuck with us and find out" on Our Brand is Chaos because they perform their music with so much earnestness. A host of notable guest spots from members of God Forbid, Comeback Kid, and Shadows Fall also boost this record, taking those bands' unique styles and Frankensteining it to Bleeding Through sound. 9 serves as a reminder of the era that made the genre of metalcore a common term, and hopefully more modern bands of the genre out there will take a few notes. Number 3 album of the year, Dream Theater, Parasomnia. Prog metal nerds were salivating at the mouth when it was announced drummer Mike Portnoy was returning to Dream Theater, and that hype has been justified, as this new record has been the band's most lauded work in a long time. The only Dream Theater records I've listened to in full have been the last few without Portnoy on them, and admittedly, those did not hit as hard as this one. This album keeps the band's trademark prog metal style with its classical influences, long song lengths, and musical wizardry, allowing every member of the band to flex to their heart's content. But the songs don't feel as long as they are, and that's owed to the tight songwriting, memorable riffs, infectious choruses, and dynamic compositions to keep your attention for the entire duration. Night Terror, Midnight Messiah, and Dead Asleep are standout favorites, and Closer, The Shadow Man Incident is the band that's the most indulgent, with a near 20-minute runtime that surprisingly stays engaging over its whole length. Whether you think Dream Theater are back, or never really left, this record stands as a highlight to their discography, especially in their modern era. Number 2 album of the year, Death Heaven, Lonely People with Power. This is the least surprising album on my list this year. Lonely People with Power seems to be the people's choice of Album of the Year, appearing on literally every Best Albums of the Year list I've seen for 2025, and it's not surprising to see why. Death Heaven have long been one of those critical darling bands that define modern metal, helping popularize the black gaze genre and the trend of mixing atmospheric vibes music with metal extremity that's been going on since the 2010s. You have the straight-up heavy bangers in songs like Doberman and Magnolia, the spacey journeys of the Garden Route and Amethyst, and the stuff that blends the two ends together like Heathen and Revelator. Many agreed that this record is on par with their other landmark albums Sunbather and New Bermuda, and is a benchmark for a peak of what metal is in the 2020s. Number 1 Album of the Year, Rivers of Nile, self-titled. There's a few common elements between all my number 1 Album of the Year picks. Progressive songwriting, big guitar riffs that stick with you, anthemic choruses you sing with your whole chest, and the healthy balance between vitality and melody. Rivers of Nile's latest exemplifies all of these elements. Despite enduring yet another lineup change between this record and the previous, I knew things were going to be alright when they got guitarist and clean vocalist Andy Thomas, who's responsible for one of my favorite records of the past decade, in 2020's Violent Portraits of Doomed Escaped by his other band, Black Crown Initiate. His talents, mixed with Rivers of Nile's, who's been moving into more melodic territory since last album The Work, is a match made in heaven. His soaring vocals on bangers like Suborbital Blues and House of Light provide a unique melodic balance to the brutality bassist and now lead growler Adam Biggs brings, where his vocals particularly stand out over the whole record, but particularly on Criminals and American Death. This record is progressive and technical death metal mastery. No weak songs, creative arrangements, memorable riffs, and hooks all over the place. Self-titling this album was a fitting move, as this is Rivers of Nile's redefined and better than ever.
And that's my list. Who do you think I left off who should have made the cut? Who shouldn't have been on the list in the first place? Leave your thoughts down in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos similar to this one. Peace, love, music, and I shall see you all next time.